Zelenskyy upset. Nobel Committee refuses to award controversial Ukraine president Peace Prize. Well, I guess there is a line they can draw, the Nobel Committee draws, because they did give Obama a peace prize, even though he was never about peace. And I guess you can't call for a nuclear strike against a country and receive a Nobel Peace Prize. Thank goodness they didn't give it to Zelensky. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon where I talk about things I can't talk about here. And there's also a link to my Instagram where I put out tons of news throughout the day. So check that out. All right, let's talk about this news. In a major upset that defied the expectations of the gambling world and disgruntled his top supporters, Ukraine President Vladimir Zelenskyy was passed over by the Nobel Committee decision in its award of the 2022 Nobel Peace Prize. The committee announced Friday that the prize has been awarded to three groups who are, quote, champions of human rights, democracy, and peaceful coexistence in the neighbor countries Belarus, Russia, and Ukraine. This includes imprisoned Belarus activist Ales Bialatsky and the Russian human rights group Memorial and Ukraine's Center of Civil Liberties. The committee praised the three on Twitter, saying, quote, for their consistent efforts in favor of humanist values, anti-militarism, and principles of law. This year's Nobel Peace Prize laureates have revitalized and honored Alfred Nobel's vision of peace and fraternity between nations, a vision most needed in the world today. I mean, I'm very surprised by this. I thought they were going to give it to Zelenskyy, another way to prop this guy up and to get the world to back this Ukraine war. But Bialowski is currently imprisoned in Belarus and facing charges of tax evasion. He is the founder of the Vyazna Human Rights Center. According to Newsweek, Zelenskyy was championed by the pro-democracy movement since the 1980s when he pushed for Belarus to become an independent state outside the Soviet Union. Bialowski, who was arrested for tax evasion in 2011 and again in 2021, has maintained his innocence, calling the charges politically motivated. He has been labeled a political prisoner by the Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International, and Newsweek reported that both the United States and the European Union have called for his release. Well, my question is, what about Julian Assange, United States? Well, how come you're not calling for Julian Assange's release? Well, I digress. Memorial, a Russian human rights group, is known for having campaigned for political prisoners as well as speaking out against human rights abuses allegedly committed by Russian troops in Chechnya and Syria. The group has since been legally dissolved. The Ukrainian Center for Civil Liberties was founded in 2007 and has been praised for its role in preserving democracy in the country. Norwegian Nobel Committee Chair Berit Reiss-Andersen said of the group, quote, the center has taken a stand to strengthen Ukrainian civil society and pressure the authorities to make Ukraine a full-fledged democracy, to develop Ukraine into a state government by rule of law. But we all know how corrupt Ukraine is. That's why NATO never even wanted them as a member in the first place, because Ukraine is so corrupt. And that's why our government is flocking to Ukraine, because they can do some of their corrupt stuff in Ukraine and get away with it. For example, Hunter Biden, Burisma. The Peace Prize, which is given out annually, comes amid conflicts between Ukraine and Russia, who are currently waging war over disputed territory. As the announcement of the awards approached, many speculated that Zelenskyy will receive the prize for his role in leading his country's fight against the invasion by Russia, a battle that some have labeled a fight between democracy and dictatorship. But I could get in that's a whole nother thing in itself. But in fact, according to Newsweek, Zelenskyy was the bookmarker's favorite to win odds in 19-10. And mind you, Zelenskyy is the same person who put into law that they can't make a peace deal. So how can you give someone a Nobel Peace Prize if they codify a law that you can't make peace? So Again, another digression, but an important digression. But he also topped Time magazine's list of likely Nobel winners, which was published Tuesday. None of the three co-winners made Time's list. Zelenskyy has not yet commented on the awards, nor congratulated the winners, according to the Associated Press. However, Zelenskyy advisor Mihailo Podolyak has spoken critically of the committee after hearing who the winners were. Quote, so they hating. Of course they're going to be hating. Quote, the Nobel Committee has a uniquely interesting understanding of world peace. If the Nobel Prize is received together by representatives of two countries that attacked the third, Podolyak wrote in part on Twitter. Olenskaya Mayachok, the head of the Ukrainian Center for Civil Liberties, also warned others not to lump the three award-winning groups together. Quote, we don't see, and we shouldn't see this prize as a Soviet narrative about brotherhood nations, Matichuk said at a press conference on Saturday, the AP reported. She added, quote, this is a story about fighting against a common enemy. So, of course, they're gonna be outspoken against it. They're gonna be upset because they really thought they were gonna win this prize, so they can use it as more propaganda. But let me know what you think. Leave comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out democrapublics.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.